So again, how much progress have we made? Now, so another thing I wanted to touch upon, that I talked about yesterday, I talked about Lee Daniels yesterday and his mental sickness, being affected with the white supremacy virus to the point that almost every other word that comes out of his mouth is anti-blackness, denying that racism even exists, except for when black people are practicing it, of course. So anyway, Cleo Monago, who does a lot of work with same gender loving, folks, also known as homosexuals, he wrote something today about, Lee Daniels. He said that black self-hate and unconditional white adoration are unconscious trauma and race-based mental illness, a state of being that may get you paid in the USA. In case you didn't hear the program yesterday, I played a clip of Lee Daniels being interviewed by another proxy racist tool of the system, Don Lemon, and he was talking about Monique and whatnot. And then he basically was saying, I'm going to do what I have to do to get work. If that means I got to play ball with racists, white supremacists, I'm going to do that. I'm paraphrasing what he said, of course, because I'm going to get my films in the theater, because I'm going to play ball with racist Hollywood. I'm not going to cause any friction. I'm not going to bring up any kind of things that I think is incorrect that's going on. No, I'm just going to keep my head down and keep making films and keep getting paid. That's basically what he said. And he also went on to say that, Monique was practicing reverse racism. Now, on one hand, he believes, like Morgan Freeman believes, who also said to Don Lemon, stop talking about racism. It don't exist if you don't talk about it. Lee Daniels said something similar. He probably saw Morgan Freeman, heard that. So he, put it in his mental tool shed and said, I'm going to use this later. That's a good one, Morgan. And Morgan gets a lot of work. So, yeah, he said that. But then, if you don't believe racism exists, if you don't think that white people practice racism, how can a person practice anti-racism? How can they practice reverse racism is what I meant to say. You can't have reverse racism if racism don't exist. Now, I have disagreement with Mr. Monago. He was on the program. I think that was last week he was on the program, and we did briefly discuss Lee Daniels, because I had wrote about him calling the black community a bunch of homophobic niggers. And so, I have a point of disagreement, with Mr. Monago on whether or not Lee Daniels is practicing white, adoration unconsciously. If he is unconsciously allowing himself to be used as a tool of racism. And again, based on everything I just told you that he said, and certainly you can go find video of the interview he did with Don Lemon. It's on YouTube. You can go find it. Other people have written, his words, quoted him. And so you can find what he said. I would have to say that is not the words. Those were not the words of a person who is unconsciously aiding white supremacy. He knows exactly what he's doing. And he mentioned that the payoff too, never challenging racism in Hollywood. He's being rewarded. He is acknowledging that that's how you get paid in Hollywood, is to play ball. You don't make waves. You don't talk about racism. You don't do this. You don't do that. You don't open up the doors for other people. No, you just get in where you fit in and do your thing as long as you get paid. That's not the thoughts or the words of a person who is unconsciously benefiting from being a tool of racism against his own people. He is very conscious about what he is engaged in. So I disagree with Mr. Monago on this being is he suffering from trauma? Does he have a race-based mental illness? Certainly. He most certainly does. but he appears to be, and I'm no psychologist, but he appears, I do have common sense and I can read and I can comprehend what I read most of the time. And what I've read and heard from him is that he is conscious about how he makes his money. Again, my number one stopped in my code book is stop cooperating with racists. Stop building any personal fortunes that you may be acquiring by mistreating other non-white people. You shouldn't be enriching yourself or acquiring wealth or material goods off the oppression of anyone, but specifically as a non-white person, you should not be looking to get paid by racists to practice racism through you. That's what a proxy does. And so, yeah, I wanted to bring those things up. I do believe I am overdue for a break, and when I come back, I will get into the rest of the news. The first thing I want to talk about is I got a clip of this woman, Andrea Shea King, on her radio program saying that members of Congress should be hung if they don't attend this speech by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, another one of my least favorite people, one of the most powerful racist white supremacists in the world. And that's why Andrea Shea King is siding with her over her own president. Because, see, her president is black. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is a racist white supremacist. So she identifies with him. But she identifies with him so strongly that anybody who shows any kind of, not that I'm saying is disrespect, but she obviously is interpreting members of Congress who said they were not going to attend as them disrespecting the Israeli prime minister, and they should be hung for that. They shouldn't just be fired. They should be lynched. That's what she said. All right, we are going to take a break, and then when we come back, we will jump right into that news story.